It's the Black Upstart.
Black people's $1.3 trillion.
It's the Black Upstart.
We're spending it making our own communities and our own businesses rich. Next, know what paperwork that you need to provide before you actually pull up. This is a know before you go. Oh, wait, no, we got 682 people up in here. Come on up in here. All right, I ain't gonna say y'all on CP time. We gonna claim next time y'all gonna be on WP time, Wealthy People's time. Okay? But you want to know what paperwork to prepare before you submit for your forgivable loan. Again, this is very important because what I found is that some lenders are just sending packaged paperwork that is not applicable to every single enterprise seeking this benefit. So if you are a business with no employees, I'm asking you to write this down because it's important. Number one, they're going to ask you for your bank statements. All right, don't be alarmed. They're going to ask you for your bank statements, and they're going to ask you for your bank statements because it's important for them to determine that you were in business and operating and making sales before February 15, 2020. How do they know that? Because on your bank statements, they will see deposits. That's the money that you earned, right? And they will see debits. That's the money that you spent. Essentially, this is the money that you report out on your profit and loss form, which we will talk about next. So when they ask for the bank statement, they're making sure that you're not pulling up on CP time, talk about, I started my business in February 1st, 2020. Then they look at your bank statements and all they see is zeros, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, all the way through September when you actually started it. The numbers will tell on you, okay? You can't threaten the numbers. The numbers are like, who gonna check me, boo? What's up? Okay? So like they're going to use those bank statements to validate if you were actually earning income and operating your business before February 15th, 2020. All right? So I want you to be prepared to provide those. Secondly, and aside for every single business, even if you don't have an LLC, you want to make sure to always separate out your business income from your personal income and your business expenses from your personal expenses. Why is this important? Because when benefits like this arise, you want to already be incorporating good business practices. Good business practices that set you up for the success when you're applying for grants and you're applying for loans. If they're looking at your bank account and they seeing that you done bought you some Coca-Cola, you done bought you some Jordans, you done bought you some Remy Weed, and you done bought you some t-shirts for your t-shirt business. Okay, you done bought you some Mac, you done bought you some Ivy Park, and you done bought you the new Android for your business. When all of those things are intermingled, it is difficult for financial institutions to determine what losses were for your business and what credits or income was for your business. So regardless of how you move forward in this process, please establish that practice, because that practice will help you determine the extent to which you've been successful as an entrepreneur so that every single year you can measure if you're scaling your business or if you're going out of business. Hello, we are not claiming that for 2021. Now next, they're going to ask you, and this is just what they say. They're going to say a book of record. Okay, a book of record. So you want to make sure that you have your records in order. Okay, if you are a single member LLC, you want to make sure that you have your EIN, which is your employer identification number. Okay, if you are not a single member LLC and you're an independent contractor, okay, you want to make sure that whatever records you have filed that you have that. Okay, next, and this is most important, if your business was operating in 2019, you want to find your Form 1040 Schedule C, all right? You want to find your Form 1040 Schedule C, all right? So for your Form 1040 Schedule C, essentially what that is your profit loss statement. How do you know that you're looking for the right document, okay? This document is going to have 3 parts. I'm going to talk about the first 2, okay? The first part is going to be income. So you're going to see like gross income, gross profit. That is the money that you earned, okay? That's the money that you earned as an entrepreneur in the 2019 tax year, okay? Part 2 is expenses. So you're going to see things like inventory, wages, contractors. Essentially what they're trying to determine is what you spent your money on. Part 2 is what entrepreneurs use to reduce their tax liability, okay? So these numbers in part 2 are subtracted from the numbers in part 1, all right? Schedule C Form 1040 is what the lender will require when you are submitting your paperwork. Now, third, you want to look for line 31, all right? Line 31 shows your net profit, all right? So your net profit is how much you earned after expenses were subtracted. The lender is going to look at your line 31, okay, and determine the extent to which you qualify for this financial benefit. Now, what I've been hearing from entrepreneurs on the internet is they want to do line 7. Okay, line 7 is the gross profit, is the gross income. Your numbers in part 1 is going to be higher if you deducted expenses than line 31. And sometimes it's tempting to say, okay, well, in part 1, I'm looking at the numbers, I made $50,000. But when my accountant filed my paperwork, they said that I had $60,000 in expenses, and now on line 31, I have a negative $10,000. If you're looking at line 31 and you see a 0 or you see a negative number, you do not qualify for this benefit. You do not qualify for this benefit because the numbers don't add up. If that number is positive, what they do, if it's $5,000, they take that $5,000, they divide it by 12 and they multiply it by 2.5 in order to determine your average monthly income. Now remember, I'm talking to sole proprietors, I'm talking to single member LLCs, I'm talking to independent contractors. You're going to pull up that Schedule C, you're going to look at line 31, and that is going to help you determine what loan you should get. Now, if that number is 0, you take 0, you divide it by 12, what do you get? 0. You take that 0, you multiply it by 2.5, what do you get? You get 0. Now, I know some folks are like, hold the heckle up. Professor Keys, you came up on this live, you had me riled up talking about black women gonna lose $840,000 in their working career, right? We need to stop accepting these separate but unequal paychecks, and we need to own our labor, own or be owned. Yes, we talked about that when the live first began. Let me tell you something. If your line 31 is a 0, or if your line 31 is a negative number, let me tell you one more time. There's a benefit in that. Because what that meant was, yes, you may not qualify for the forgivable loan if it was a 0 to negative number, but what that means is that you reduced your overall tax liability. So that means for 2019 tax year, your tax bill was lower, or some of you all got tax returns. So I don't want you to disrespect part 2. Somebody tweet that. Don't disrespect part 2 if your accountant was able to see all of the expenses that you incurred as a business and get you to the point where Sam, your uncle, mailed you a check or DD'd you, which is direct deposited you. Part 2 is how millionaires, how 100,000aires make sure that they're not paying 25-30% in taxes. Okay? So if you're at a negative number, I don't want you to kick yourself. If your number is 0, I don't want you to roll your eyes. I don't want you to throw no hair, because guess what? Guess what? Don't worry. Guess what? Don't disrespect part 2. Part 2 is what puts you in a really good tax position going into 2020. So there's benefit on either side. Okay? All right. Now the equation that you will use to calculate your benefit is the number in line 31 divided by 12 and multiplied by 2.5. So in line 31, if you had $12,000 and you divided it by 12, okay, that's $1,000. You multiply it by 2.5, that's $2,500. That would be what they would pay you in a forgivable loan, okay? All right, so let's keep going, all right? So next, I want you to know your lender, all right? Very important. And so in knowing your lender, I want you to first, your first plan of action is to always go to the financial institution in which you bank. Industrial bank, that's a Black-owned bank. You may bank with Chase, you may bank with Bank of America, okay? You, wherever your accounts exist, that's the first lender that you should approach. But that's not exclusive, all right? It's not exclusive. Now, usually if you already have a banking relationship with a financial institution, this particular process might not be so difficult for you. But if you do not have a financial institution that you trust or one that you have a great relationship with, the legislation does allow for you to explore other lender options. Now, what I have found in the SBA legislation is that it's okay for you to submit PPP applications for forgivable loans to multiple lenders, all right? So you can submit to Bank of America, you can submit to Industrial Bank, you can submit to another lender, Intuit, right? You can submit to any one of these lenders, okay? And while they are processing your paperwork, you will be ascribed a specific number that is assigned to your business, okay? Specific number assigned to your application and your business and whatever identifying number that you provided. So that is your EIN or your social security number. Whatever lender gets back to you first with the benefit that is available to you will submit your paperwork to the appropriate governmental institution. And then at that point, you can go ahead and cancel all of your other applications with lenders so that you are no longer on the hook for responding to them. The reason why they give you this number is because when you apply to these other lenders, okay, let's say that two would have approved you. Because your social security number, your employee identification number is attached to just your business or to you, it helps the government institution not award two forgivable loans to the same business for the same paperwork. Okay, in short, you can go to several lenders. Now you want to ask them if when you submit your paperwork, if that has any implications on your credit score. Okay, so that's why I said always go to your financial institution first. If you don't have a good relationship, that does not exclude you to go into another institution. All right, so let's keep going. I want you to know your options. Okay, well, I'm going to stop. I saw a question. It's really important. Somebody said, what if you filed your taxes in 2018? And I think it's important for us to talk about that. You need to know your tax status and you need to make sure that you file your taxes. For this particular benefit, it's important for you to know that they are looking for businesses that were operating in 2019 who filed their taxes. Why is this important? You cannot submit a tax form for review unless it was submitted. How can you go retrieve your 1040 that you submitted to the IRS if you never completed it? You need to pay your taxes. If there's something about your 2019 tax numbers that you need to amend, file the 2040X. If you do not have a line 31, guess what? They do not have numbers in which they can input into your equation and your calculation. Your 2018 numbers do not count. They want to see how your 2019 numbers shape up and compare to your 2020 numbers. Now, for those folks who said, well, I wasn't operating in 2019. I started my business before February 15, 2020, but I didn't start doing business until January. What is the answer for you, right? You pull up your 2019 taxes, there will be no line 31 because you started doing business in 2020. What you want to look at is you want to calculate part 1 in your 2020 taxes. You want to calculate part 2 in your 2020 taxes. And when you do that, you're going to do that for January 1st through February 29th. Okay, so if you're a new business that just started operating this year, you're going to calculate your gross income, your expenses. So part 1 of 1040, part 2 of 1040, and line 31, you're going to get your net profit from January 1st through February 29th. And that is going to be the benefit that you use to qualify yourself for this benefit. So these are for the new businesses out there, okay?
Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.